Warzone, Call of Duty's brand new free-to-play Battle Royale mode has officially launched, and with that, millions of players are flooding to the game to see what all the hype is about. Casual players, new players, and even veterans who haven't touched Call of Duty in years. This is all occurring due to the fact that Warzone is entirely free to download and play, and even better yet, the game is cross-play, allowing PlayStation, Xbox, and PC players to all play together in a cohesive environment. With that being said, many are wondering what the best in-game controller and visual settings are to perform at one's highest potential, as a Battle Royale mode differs in comparison to the multiplayer experience. So in this video, I will be detailing 11 major tips for your settings to easily improve your gameplay performance, starting with aim-related tips, moving to visual improvements, and finishing off with audio adjustments that are all necessary for better play. I do want to note that using code Carnage at gfuel.com can save you up to 30% off your entire order on any flavor and even on the limited Carnage shaker cups. So now is the time to resupply, try a new G Fuel flavor, or try G Fuel for the first time. We've got an exciting year ahead of us with the mid-COD cycle launch of Warzone, and we're excited to be introducing it to the channel's mix of top-tier Call of Duty content. So make sure you're subscribed and have post notifications turned on. Drop a like for some Warzone win luck, and let's hop right into improving your gameplay. So let's go ahead and start off with the first of 6 ways to improve your aim in Warzone Battle Royale. Sensitivity adjustment from the multiplayer is so important, considering you are playing on a much larger map, meaning many of your engagements will be long distance. Long distance engagements will require much more precise analog and or mouse movement, so maintaining complete control of the movement is key. I personally bounce anywhere between a 7.7 and 8.8 sensitivity, which I feel is the perfect mid-zone for just the right amount of precision aiming for long distances, but also allowing you to whip around on enemies in close quarters so you aren't moving like a slug. Though I would recommend you trying different sensitivity combinations to see what best strikes you. A lot of sensitivity does come down to personal preference, so don't necessarily just take what I say for what it is, but 7.7 and 8.8 are typically recommended for the perfect mid-zone sensitivity. Though even more importantly, adjust your ADS low zoom speed down to around 0.8 to 0.85, as this will especially allow you to hit your shots at longer distances without moving too much when aiming down sights. This is even more important, guys, than your overall sensitivity, so don't neglect to change that low zoom ADS sensitivity. Next up, we've got your aim response curve type. The first time we have ever seen this option in Call of Duty, so most players are too intimidated to play around with it. The 3 options include standard, linear, and dynamic. Standard is your most typical Call of Duty feeling, while dynamic and linear increase the touchiness of the analog movement. Though standard will do the trick, I would personally recommend trying out dynamic for a few matches, as you will notice more smooth movement with the right analog stick, which is obviously aiming, for quick close quarter aiming and long distance precision aiming. Then again, it's not something that I feel is incredibly big of a difference, but between the 3, I'd either go between standard or trying out dynamic. Now, moving on to one setting that you may already have adjusted or at least have heard the recommendation before, and that is controller vibration. I was always one to keep this enabled, as I liked the immersion it offered, as I felt like I actually could feel the game and my gun firing. However, after disabling it and trying it out for a few matches, I noticed significant improvements in my ability to maintain a locked-on aim and manage my recoil. Though it seems minor, you will notice a difference. Ask any pro players specifically, do not ever play with vibration. Now, aim assist is the most important setting to have enabled. It's surprising that an option even exists to turn it off, as every player should have it enabled. The standard option is is your typical Call of Duty feel. When aiming close to an enemy, you will have some slight pull towards the enemy, almost as if there was a magnet on them. And the difference between the options are almost unnoticeable, so I would personally just go with the standard, though precision may be worth checking out for more experienced players, and focusing is recommended for newer players. Now, have you ever been in a situation where you are shooting at an enemy and you entirely run out of ammo with your primary, giving the enemy opportunity to take you out because you couldn't switch to your secondary fast enough? Well, I have a solution for that. Though those situations are very rare, this setting will prevent those situations from even happening in the beginning. That setting is called Depleted Ammo Switch. Simply enable this, as it will only swap out your primary to your secondary when you are completely out of ammo, not just when your magazine runs out and you have to reload. It only does it when you are completely out of ammo. And this is kind of one of those things that is recommended, but it's not something that necessarily has to be done. It's just an option, and that is the purchase of a Scuf controller or a pair of KontrolFreeks, which will significantly help your ability to aim and make your movements a whole lot more fluid, as KontrolFreeks increase the length of your analogs, allowing for a higher range of movement, and Scuf controllers offer paddles on the back of them to custom set for things such as jumping, crouching, reloading, or even aiming. You can also use code KARNAGE at checkout at Scuf or KontrolFreeks for a nice little discount. Now, moving on to the visual improvements, we have several options that most players neglect to change that will drastically make your gameplay experience better. Most of these settings make your game look and feel more immersive and realistic, but when looking to become a better player and performing better in the game, those visual improvements will get in the way and have to be sacrificed. First of which being film grain. This option increases or decreases the amount of grain on textures in game, giving the more realistic or gritty feel. However, especially in long distance situations, this grain can cause enemies to blend in more with the surrounding environment. Removing this will make your game appear a bit more smooth, making those enemy targets at range stand out more, especially considering that the Warzone map is much larger. You need to be able to have as little of distraction visually as possible. Next up, we have one of the most important visual changes to adjust. Have you ever felt nauseous after playing too much Call of Duty? Well, this setting adjustment may solve this problem. That setting is motion blur. Now, there are two different types, world and weapon. World motion blur blurs out the environment, as you can see here, as you move around, while the weapon blur blurs out your weapon as you move around. Having these enabled will cause a lack in your vision, especially world blur, as it will blur out enemies as you move around. Disabling both of these will make for better gameplay experience and will definitely improve your gameplay performance. Now, we have requested changes to the minimap since launch. Though they haven't delivered on exactly what we want, they did give us the option in the most recent update to change the minimap from a circle to a square. Circle is default, so changing it to a square will give you more visual of what's occurring on the map, as it's a larger view than the circle. So definitely make this change, guys. Lastly, we have audio settings to adjust. Audio is so important, as being able to hear footsteps, environment changes such as doors opening or glass breaking, and sounds such as gunfire, vehicle movement, and explosions is crucial to performing well and ideally winning in Battle Royale. Any additional sounds are not things you want interfering with the sounds you want to hear, so the solution is just eliminating them altogether. Though in-game music is nice for dramatic effect, it is entirely unnecessary and, to be honest, quite distracting, so turn music volume down to 0. And finally, make sure you have not turned off or even lowered the dialogue or especially the effects volume, as you want to be able to hear any environmental disturbances such as breaking glass or doors opening or say footsteps. Have these turned all the way to the max. And with that being the 11th tip, that wraps up the changes that you should make to your settings to improve yourself as a player in Call Call of Duty Warzone Battle Royale. From the aiming settings, making you be able to aim better, to be more precise and knock out enemies faster, to the visual improvements such as blur, removing that, I'm telling you, will make a big difference. And lastly, the audio adjustments. You should definitely notice after several matches of getting used to these setting adjustments that you are becoming a better player. A lot of these tips are used by pros and much more veteran and experienced players, including YouTubers, competitive players, and people that have just been playing the game for a long time overall. Hopefully these help you, and let us know which one you found most striking down in the comments section below. If you made it to this point in the video, comment down below #Warzone. And with that all being said, hopefully you have a fantastic day. Hopefully you enjoy Warzone, and we'll see you all in the next Call of Duty Warzone Battle Royale video.